Make a motion to pass. All right, here we go. People, I believe, are ready to get home. Is that what I'm hearing? Bartow County calling you?
Bartow County's calling.
Well, I understand, you know. Yeah, your cows are hungry. Is that right?
That's it.
Good.
Golly. Got a full house.
Hey. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get this meeting started and call the House Transportation Committee to order. Appreciate y'all coming. You know, just two things real quick. Where's Jackson at? Jackson, stand up. You know, Jackson's our intern. Yeah, I pointed out to some of y'all the other day, and he is helping me with that group text, the group me, and the one that you're getting. You know, he's laughed a number of times this morning about helping me with that. But Jackson, I want to thank you. You've done a great job. And if you haven't been to our office to pick up your cup, he has it. We're not delivering them. And so, you know, though we could, but we won't. You know, but you need to meet Jackson and come by and meet Carmen. And we appreciate you doing that. So like I said, as you see me in the hallway and all, we're going to move pretty quick because I know everybody's got things to do. But first, I want to recognize a friend of mine, a new friend, from Forsyth County, Miss Lindsay Adams. Wave. She's on our school board in Forsyth County. And with her, she has a CTA student, Chris Crusenberry. Did I say it right? All right, great. And Chris is in construction management and construction, and he's here today to observe our committee. And let's give him a hand for being here. Thank you. Okay, first up, we're going to do House Bill 516, Derek McCollum. You see this, it's in your folder. There is a sub. Madam, can I look at are you looking at that right one? 394143S. This is a bill that you saw last year that didn't make it across. The sub is because of me. I added, if you remember from last year, we're trying to help the modular home business by the lengthening, giving them another 5 feet, which I saw a side eye from my chairman. It does not increase and be an issue with weight, you know. So it's good. And so with that, I will turn it over to Representative McCollum. And with him, of course, he has Josh Waller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members. So this bill is LC 394143S, and it was a bill that I introduced last session. So we're increasing. This is a quick response. This is a perfect from the commissioner's expense. You know, everything went up everything's went up, and he talked about it last week. My mind's went blank about how much everything's increased. So this is a quick response program, and essentially we already have it. We're not changing anything on the quick response. We're just going from $200,000 to $500,000 because obviously inflation. The program's already in place. So essentially, if you have something in your district that's unsafe and you need a turning lane or potential a light or anything like that, that's a safety issue or just needs an upgrade, you can apply, get with your engineer, and apply for a quick response program. And what they'll do is come out and look at it. They still do 3 bids. That's not an issue. They literally, I talked to the commissioner. He said, we can draw it up on a napkin. We do environmentals. Everything's up and up. We just do 3 bids. But we can get it started in a couple weeks. So that's something that is needed. I've already had an issue in my district. I needed a turning lane. $200,000 won't do a turning lane any longer. Turning lanes are about $350 now, or maybe even more. So, and then just small projects. So $500,000 is the increase that we are asking for, and I think that's something that will be utilized. So that's one part. That's what we're changing is the $500,000. The second part is this is to do with the private-public relationship. If you're doing a private entity comes in and does a public partnership, which we've always had. In the past, we had used to be unsolicited private entities used to come, and they would essentially say, hey, we've got a project, here's the plans, we'll furnish the money, and then they would furnish a budget. Now that's no longer allowed by law, and so what we're doing is cleaning that up. So now what we're doing is, and I'm gonna get Josh to help me because I went over this thing several times, and this is super technical. But now what we're doing is we're taking that piece away. Used to be when the DOT board used to have to hear it first time if it was a private entity and they had financials and all that. Then DOT would have to go through the financials and the board would have to hear it a second time. Now we don't allow that. We, as DOT creates the budget, creates the plans and all that. So that's the way we used to do it. So now we, go ahead, Josh. Yeah. So anyway, now what we do is we, let me think. I've went over this 1,000 times. So now what we do, we're just moving. We have what was it? You just tell them. It'd be simpler.
All right, real fast. Yeah, sorry. I know it's so that code section goes back to 15, 20 years ago when we allowed for unsolicited bids. We don't allow for so that notion was, hey, the private sector, let them just identify a project, bring it to the DOT, and the DOT would be required to consider it. That was stricken from the law, but some of the provisions that were in the P3 code section remained, such as dealing with the timing of the public meetings, dealing with the timing of the final board approval. So these adjustments here just say that the public meeting can occur earlier in the process, which is most appropriate during the environmental process when you can still make changes to the project. That's when public input is most valuable, when the project can still you can still change components. Then the last piece has to deal with the timing of the final approval of the board. And you have, with these complex financial P3 projects, the proposer, developer, the builder is bringing financing to the project for some portion or period. So they're getting financing. There's a financial close period where there's an interest rate risk for them. So this just says if the board's already approved this individual, this proposer, they will not need to be another approval at financial close to help eliminate the risk that your timing of the board approval conflicts with when they can lock in a certain interest rate to ensure that we get the best value as a state.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Yeah. So then the last piece is obviously what the chairman had added, and it's just increasing the length on modular home in transport. And so that's pretty much it. I'll stand for any questions. Might get Josh to answer them, but.
No, Representative, it's just lit up. I don't even know where to begin.
I know.
No, I do. Vice Chairman Hagan, I'm teasing you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing the bill. And this really might be a question that Mr. Waller needs to address. So, and when we're looking at Section 1, increase from $200,000 to $500,000, is that completely accounted for in the budgets that are proposed right now? And do you feel
Yes.
you want to address that?
Yes, they are. In terms of those type activities come out of our routine maintenance budget, and so we are accounting for that. The last time that this was adjusted was in 2012, and so we have seen throughout the state the increased cost that has come to these type of, just as the committee secretary said, the turn lanes, other intersection improvements, those things that are really where you can have it's called quick response for a reason. They can get in there quickly and people see a benefit. So if you get a turn lane, it helps with movement through the intersection. And so it's always been a really popular program because the footprint's smaller. Usually the environmentals are less of a concern. So we just want to be able to preserve that. And I'm giving you a long answer. The short answer, again, is yes, it's accounted for in the budget.
Right.
I want to add one. So I have been in touch with a lot of the engineers, and they said the quick response program is pretty much stopped right now because $200,000, you literally can't do anything.
Thank you, Mr. Waller. Thank you, Representative, for the bill.
Representative Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Prince, excuse me.
Oh, no worries. I just want to we raised from 200 to 500,000. It says that the department was prohibited from negotiating. Who does the negotiating then?
So it would have to,
I'm on line 13.
When it's not negotiated, then it's done as a regular let project that's approved by the board. So a negotiated contract is where we don't have to take it for full board approval, and so we have monthly lettings. So in this instance, we're putting out we're getting 3 bids and then awarding it to the lowest bid. But it doesn't go through the monthly board letting. That's the big key, the time crunch. You're reducing the time crunch there. But it's the department who is negotiating those contracts to the lowest bidder.
And I think that's the key thing we always have to remember with you guys. They're bidded projects, and for the lowest bidder generally. 23
And
is
even quick response are the lowest bidder.
yeah. 23 is that. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the proper time, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, and not somebody was flashing down there.
As long as they bid it, I'm good with it.
Okay, great. See any other committee members have question? See none. Recognize the chairman.
Do pass.
Make a motion to do pass. Got a second? All those in favor, aye? Any opposed? Hear none. Thank you. You can
Thank you,
breathe
committee.
easier now, Representative. That's a Thank you, Derek. Okay. Next is a bill that I've had. It's House Bill 617. It's a bill we had last year in a committee. Sometimes you just have to take it on the chin when you don't do it right. Didn't make crossover last year. It was really my fault. I had not spent the time informing others and leadership exactly what I was up to, and so they told me to wait a year. Well, which was fine. And that's just how this works sometimes, and you learn your lesson. And I did have my meeting and make sure I'd explained that quite well, what House Bill 617 does. And, so we went over it in great detail last year, and I'll go over it in pretty good detail today because it's important. Across our state, freight and logistics issues are critical. We've had, I think, Ms. Day, Abby, and I were talking about it. We have spent the last 5 years studying freight logistics issues, and and how we go about putting money behind those is where this bill does. And so it's pretty detailed, and it follows along with the just released freight plan that the planning director just released. And so we've got the little cart before the horse, but the horse knew what cart it was pulling. So it's worked out. Because as you see in the freight plan, it's using these criteria to direct, investments in our state, and it codifies the spending. It's what's something we do in this committee quite often is we put it in paper. So the state knows what to do. They know our direction and where we want them to go. And I really want to emphasize that is that this committee, the Senate committee together, with the governor's office and planning, we tell GDOT where we want to go. And I want you to always keep that in mind, that is your power here, and that you need that influence, and that's what this does. That's what these plans do, and that's why, I'm pretty emphatic on making sure that plans come before us early so we can look at them and we can have input and talk about them. And I'm not afraid to push for you to make sure that happens. So if you look through it real quick, Section 1 codifies the plan because we want to make sure it's done always. And it just talks about on 16, Section 2, it's just really what I call a division of work. Who's going to do it? The planning division in line 28 will now do a state freight logistics implementation plan. They've already done it. I'll make sure you get a copy of it this week. Section 3, it talks about what the director, and the director here, we're talking about the state planning director, and to what they will have to do, all that underlined. You look at 42, it's a 20-year plan. And so when you look at the state plan, you go to, the easiest thing to do, Josh might agree or may not agree, is go to the next to the last page in it, and you look at the total number, and you go, holy cow, that's a lot of money, $90 billion. And that's the need that's out there. Now, of course, that's, Abby's going to find the money to make it happen. And, which, will you be here 20 years from now?
No, hope not.
Hope not. Okay, well, that just popped into my mind, ma'am. But, And so, but she's laying the foundation now as we work. And you look down through the thing, like on 45, you see it's a foundational investment, that ensures the maintenance of what we got, catalytic, those are very fancy words. But to make sure that the freight plan meets the needs of Georgians, we divide, you look on this down below in C and D, we're talking about areas we're going to concentrate on. And if you think about it, when you read these, you look at the international trade zone within 20 miles of a deep water port. And well, we all know that's Savannah and Brunswick, because they are super neat in what we're doing. Inland ports, 10 miles. We have one big, inland port in Chatsworth right now, and we'll have another in Gainesville soon. And so what are we doing around those? Because we're going to increase truck movement, and businesses are going to come there just like they have, especially if you haven't been to the inland port in Murray County. It's amazing the amount of industry and manufacturing specifically that has moved within 2 miles of that inland port. It's really pretty neat. And then you look at 3, this could be across our state, as you see, within 5 miles of a commercial or industrial warehouse or production facility that's greater than 200,000 feet. In the next section on the next page on 66, they're going to report back to us for you to look at, to make sure you're agreeing, you're seeing where the money's being spent, and you look at all these different things that it will include, down to line 83. It's about everything I think anybody could think of, which is going to allow you as a member to look at the freight plan in this report and see where we're at. It'll also allow the communities that we represent in this, on the page before the 3, to know where we're at when they look at it. They're going to say, oh, I'm moving along. Because as we know, DOT projects we don't wave magic wands. They're planned, the engineering's done, the right-of-way's done, the environmental's done, then it's funded, and then construction begins. So they're all long-term plans, but this will help everybody know where they're at. And will allow planning for, increase of not just the road side, but also on economic development side. And then in section 4, it just talks about responsibilities of the planning director. It's just technical. And then in the last section, turn it over here, I got my notes. It looks at the long-range plan on line 119. It's really good that this plan we have right now looks at the 20-year window, but we need to be looking way down the road. That's difficult. 2050, and when Russell talks about it, really isn't that far from now. But it really puts the planning director, gives them some direction that we do want to be looking at 2050, where we're at and what our needs are. And it asks for what they're going to be looking at through lines 126 down through there. It codifies the plan that you'll get. I don't know that I have emailed that to you yet or not, but that's what we're up to with this. I like it. It makes it responsible to us. Makes the planning director use, what the needs are without the state. And so that's the bill I bring forward, and be glad to answer any questions. Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I just like to make a motion at the appropriate time.
Oh, well, thank you. Now, number 11. Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We spoke earlier, but have we taken into consideration, and does it plan for those heavy trucks that we're going to be having on the road?
Well, I giggled, but it does.
I figured it would. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It does. When you look at the freight plan that you'll see and the plans down the road, there is significant dollars dedicated toward bridge, especially bridge work throughout the timberous areas of our state right off the bat. Number 1, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. So obviously, with the inland port being right next door in Murray County, and it's such a driver, I look forward to having the conversations as they develop this plan to strengthen Highway 2 coming across Varnell up in Ridley's district on the north end of Whitfield County. So I appreciate the legislation, and I appreciate the plan.
Well, that is it. That in our area is great, but you're right. Highway 2 and Highway 411 will need some work, especially into Tennessee. Number 27.
That's me.
Oh, Chairman Newton.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate this and the fact that it lists so clearly what we're all agreeing are our roles, and it seems to solidify communication. I did have one quick question on line 66. It requires that planning director to get the committees on transportation, report by February 15th. I'm just curious, would you not want it before crossover day, or would you want it in time to do budget? Was there a reason about the 15th of February? Is it because everything's so long-term anyway, you can't get it on January 1st and come up with anything?
I'd have to ask the planning director, and maybe Josh might could answer that. I don't think there's
Nothing magic.
I think it's
to
just
it.
a no magic number. But our budgeting is done already.
Right,
Before
it's
then.
all-
we're done. But it really gives you the window to look at in the next budget year.
Right, and the amended budget that will
Yeah.
be coming up later.
If something popped
Thank you,
up.
sir. Strongly supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 10 is Ms. Newlowitz.
Thank you. Yes, looking in line 141, I think this is good that we're doing this. I think this is important. Talking about the monies collected from the use of and impact on the statewide transportation network. So that, I would imagine, pertains to the current motor fuel tax. It pertains to current fees, but this language, it looks to me like it's written in a way that it would also include any future revenue collecting systems that we might put in, that a future legislature might put into place.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We're plotting and figuring on that to try to figure out ways we could do that, because we know it's a super need. And I just want to stop just real quick, Ms. Lewis, to talk. You look at the budget that we're doing right now, 690. Just look at everyone. 641. She knows. In freight and logistics, this time right now, and so, which are going to help us, create momentum in taking care of a lot of these projects. But it's like I told you, when you look at the plan that you're going to get in the mail, 90 billion's the need, and it's a lot. And so we do have to be brave and maybe look at other ways that we can help fund this program. Any other questions? Recognize the Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no other questions, I'd like to make a motion to pass.
Folks, do pass in a second. All those in favor, aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Y'all have a great weekend. We've had a long week. We've had a long week. We are adjourned. Thank you, Mr. President. Bye. Oh, wait 1 second. Where am I going to recognize? Oh, hey, you knew it. Hey, I want to recognize the young lady in the back, Miss Kenyatta Mitchell. Kenyatta, will you stand up? But you see, if you have to see, as you walk around the Capitol, members, especially y'all in the metro, if you don't know Kenyatta, you need to. Great resource for the city of Atlanta with the mayor's office. I appreciate her. We talk quite a bit, and I just appreciate her positive. Just a very positive lady. And we thank you for being here, Ms. Kenyatta. Bye now.